So that's it. What are the preliminary steps to structuring our notes in the case? Key requisites. The notes must be exhaustive. Very, very, very exhaustive. I'm sure you've heard of MISI, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Exhaustive is the most important word here. The candidate is expected to spend 1.5 minutes to get the structure done, maybe a couple of minutes at maximum. And then you'll have another 1 or 2 minutes to explain your structure to the interviewer. That moment is key. An important tip, do not jump into the case before taking the interviewer through all the notes and your thought process. Don't forget that. Take the interviewer before through the notes and then go to the case. You're expected to do that with clients and avoid jumping into a topic just because a client pushes. So what are the steps to get a good structure? First of all, very simple, get horizontal paper. It's much easier this way. And keep in mind that you should fill several pages during the case. Leave white space always, and things will be much easier to find than if you have everything on the same page. After that, use one sheet for taking notes of what the interviewer says. You'll always do better writing everything that looks slightly important, as we consultants are often labeled as insecure overachievers. So it's better to take notes of everything than to forget stuff. Write down all numbers that the interviewer says, all of them, because you'll forget them. So never rely on I will remember later, because it's not gonna happen. So if anything looks important, write it down, because if it's not written, it doesn't exist. And keep in mind that writing too much notes is never a reason for not moving to the next round. Writing too few could get you a lower score in the case. Keep your notes in order. If you do it in a certain order, and keep it the same way, your life will be easier. For example, numbers on the right, facts on the left, the question on top of the page. Find your best way to do it and stick to it. So you'll use 1 or 2 sheets for the case structure and 1 or 2 sheets for solving. Keep aside always one paper for the calculations and label those with letters rather than numbers. And remember, always in one side of paper. So, the first minutes of the case, what do we do here? The interviewer begins the case, and he begins talking. Normally, it's a short talk in which he introduces you, such as, my friend Paul is having whatever problem. So, you write everything the interviewer says in very, very short bullets, and write the question on top of your sheet, and circle it, so you never forget what is the target of what we're looking for. You check with the interviewer if there is any other question, and if the interviewer gives you a lot of information, be structured with numbers and qualitative information. Note that normally not many information will be available at the beginning, but you have to ask the interviewer. Be very aware of units. Thousands is different than millions. Keep that in mind and write it. Days are different than weeks or months, because it's a shame how some candidates get it wrong due to misinterpretation here or not leveling things correctly. Consultants are always expected to pay a very, very critical attention to detail. So once you've done with the notes page, keep that page aside and just write there if you get any extra piece of information, and understand what the interviewer is looking for. If you don't have any immediate question, which 90% of the times that's what will happen, get one new piece of paper and put it horizontal. Now is when you will have to create your issue tree. Every item here should be 1 to 3 words, and we want to be super, super exhaustive and show to the interviewer or the client that we can get the big pictures and be creative enough to cover all the potential issues. We do not want to have here an structured brainstorm of every possible reason. We want to have a structured approach to our solution. Forget about laundry lists.